Now there's actually been a little bit of time in between this video, this part of the video anyway, where I've had a couple of trips, so we've had to sort of quickly cobble together something that was usable. And good news, everything is working a-okay. We've been stress testing the distributors via our 3000 watt inverter. That's all been running, all the induction stuff a-okay. The AC charge, hunky-dory. One of the solar controllers with some solar on the roof, I'll show you in a second, as well as our distributors, our servo unit and our DC. So happy days. What we've done here is working a-okay. Now for our MPPT chargers, we do have the two of them here like we mentioned in part one. So you can see on this one that I've already plugged in and been testing. We have our battery here on the left, pos and negative, with our ducting here. It's able to just run straight back up. Both of these fused in both of these. So these are our two 40 amp fuses. We then simply just need our positive and our negative from our solar inputs. You can see these then just run out here, just like the wiring diagram, up and then into our DC breaker here. It's really important that you have one of these connected to your system, because that's how you can isolate the power. The killer wasps being generated on the roof here in a sec that we'll suss out, that isolates that from the rest of the system. So that way, if we want to de-energize the whole system, it's a matter of de-energizing our roof and then de-energizing the light through our master shut off switch. And then as far as how I have mounted that, if we have a look in here, it's basically just a skin fitting. I'm a big fan of not drilling these things in and literally using some Sikaflex 252. That stuff is going to stick to anything and stay stuck. So something like that gives you a watertight seal, and it's an adhesive as well. So the benefit of this is these are an MPPT quick disconnect. So if I ever want to take these off, I can just get my little tool in there and disconnect these, and then the whole system is disconnected. That's important because in our rooftop tent, we're going to have a couple of the slim lines, which are these conveniently. They're set, ready to go. I just had to cut these down. So there's two of these Energy 100 watt panels. They're the slim lines going on top of the rooftop tent. So when we go for a camp and we use those and put the rooftop tent on the top, I can then just simply disconnect these guys, connect the ones from the rooftop tent, and we're off and charging again. Just got these plugged in just over the top, making some modifications to the headboard here. So we'll have a nice little cutout that the wires can feed through in the top there. You'll see that in later videos. And if we have a look at the top, here's our solar panels on the roof. So I've gone ahead and installed these. Like I said, I had that cheeky little trip in the way here from halfway through the start of the video. So we've got these installed. We were going to put some of the slimline ones on here like you saw in part one. I found these are a hardcore panel. They're 170 watts. So as opposed to having two 100 watt panels, I ended up with both of these guys, which gives me a total of two 170 watt panels, 340 watts. So it's been performing really, really well. I've seen some pretty heavy peaks. I've even over their rated capacity at 360 watts, even in perfect conditions. So it's worked really well. And because these guys are nice and slim, if I get down here, you can see that where the channel is, the solar panels sit underneath it. So they sit under by about 5 mil. The benefit of that is I can still use this. So I can sit the rooftop tent on the top. It sits on top of the rail, doesn't touch panels. Done the old Bunnings run with a bunch of Renault stuff in prep for the shed rebuild. Stuff goes straight over the top of this rack, and we are good to go, and it doesn't damage or impact the solar panels in any way. So they've been working really, really well. They just feed in series just down into our skin fitting, which then routes through behind our little board here and into our MPPT. All right, let's get to wiring these guys up. So like you saw in the previous video, I'm gonna have to move this battery out of the way because I'm just not gonna be able to get to those, unfortunately, but that's okay. I'll do that in a sec. We have two of the Orion XS50 amp DC-DC chargers. This will do up to 70 watts, like you can see right there. For those of you asked in part one what the heck this thing is, this is a Ruby tag. So what this does is gives me a Bluetooth temperature and humidity monitor back to the servo screen, so I can kind of see what the live temps are on the DC-DC directly. And then for the shunt, this is also a temp probe just there. That gives me a temperature reading of the distribution box and everything that's going on there. So that way we get a couple of different temps of what's going on with the system for some monitoring. Those will then ultimately run our active cooling solution that we have set up or about to be set up for the canopy, which will draw air in and blow it out the back. So anyway, you'll see that in a future video. To wire these guys up, follow the wiring diagram that I do have on VideoShowMeHow.com. Ultimately for us, we have a pretty short run. I've got about a meter of length from there to there. there, and it will then come from here down underneath and pop back up to our main charge battery. So the plan from here is we need to route 2 positives. How these work is just like it says here. Once again, reasonably idiot proof. Thank you, Victron. We have our power in from your 12-volt starter battery. We have our main ground, which for us will come out here and then back up to the ground section of our fuse in a distribution block. And then we have output, which is then putting the power back into the overall system. So that's how the Orions work. There's only 3 inputs. To connect into the rest of our system from here, we need our negative or our ground just there. That'll come up and into our 2 connectors here. So I already have our 60 amp fuse there for one and our other one over here. We've got 1 input there and another one here ready to go. Our positives go on top. So that is our output. So it's power in from the 12 volt, and then our ground and our output from the DC-DC come out of here. So ground will come up and then under here and connect into this guy. We then flip that guy down once it's all nice and connected. We then have our output, our 12 volt output from the DC-DC, same story, up, follow our nose, up into our top lug here, fused as a 60 amp, and then that connects into the rest of the system to keep everything all nice and topped up. So that really is as complicated as your DC-DC gets, particularly with the Orions. Everything else is set up with software as far as when this switches on or off, particularly if you have a smart alternator, just like every other vehicle on the market today. Speaking of alternators too, that was a common question in part 1. Yes, I do have an upgraded alternator. I've got 160 amp in there at the moment. The factory D-Max is only about a 90. If you're running 2, you're definitely going to need one. As it is, I may need to derate these to sort of 40 amps each. I'm not sure. I'll test the heck out of it. You guys will come along for the journey, but alternator wise, we're good to go. All right, so that's how you connect it up. Now I need to do the legwork and the routing and the fandangling to get my cabling going through all this. So I'll get cracking with that. I will get all this part wired and routed back through, and I'll meet you over there at the starter battery, and I can show you how we connect everything using our fuses and everything on the battery end. To give you an idea, this is our 50 amp cable. This is our cable that we're running through to the back of the canopy. We've got plenty there for 2 runs there, our 16 mil square cable. The next level up, which I was going to use, but it's not quite enough, unfortunately, is a 4G cable. So this is into your 20 square, but the next level up, which is what we're going to use, is this big fatter cable here. This is a 2G cable, and we're at about 33 mil square now, so more than enough to carry in our run. It's about 4 meters from, if you've got a D-Max, this is how much you need. From here underneath along the chassis rail and back at the end is right on about the 4 meter mark. So for a 2G cable, we're good for about 130 amps continuous. So with all of that in mind, this is kind of how the new plate is going to look. So we have our negative bus bar here, so we'll have a earth or a negative coming off our terminal straight into this guy. So then all of our negatives that we've got will all attach to this. The main ones we have at the moment are these guys here for our spotlights and what have you. They're all fused independently, but we need to get a negative feed and a positive feed. Similarly for some of our other accessories, so all the negs will go there. We have some MIDI fuse holders here. I've got a bunch of these, so this will probably get snuck along there, and I'll be able to put as many as I need along here. And then we have in the middle here, so this is our big alternator feed. So we've got 160 amp alternator, hence the 175 fuse. So that's going to roll through. Need to shorten this cable, but ultimately that will connect to our positive of a battery into this guy. This is a bridged maxi fuse holder, so it gives power to both of these outputs. This guy here will feed from our alternator, which is the upgraded pathway. That's what this guy is here. There's a full video on the channel, you can suss it out. And then this guy will run basically out of here, loop back around to our master disconnect. This is for our house battery, like it says just on here. So the purpose of this will run to our DC-DC. So if we ever want to isolate the power running down that cable to the back of the canopy itself, that's how we do it. We can literally just turn it off here at the switch. For me now, this will only take 2 seconds for you, but I'm going to get cracking on bolting all this down and running that cable, and I'll show you the end result. All right, sit rep update here. I've sort of worked forward and we are pretty well ready for a turn on. So you can see that what we're talking about there is all in now. So we have our output here. We've got 2 big plugs that I've got connected there like you saw there before. We also have this guy guy. This is our pass-through. So we need to have a full system earth on this guy now because we're pulling charge from the vehicle side of things. Before, all of this other stuff, except for the DC-DCs, effectively makes it a off-grid system, and it's not tied to the car itself in any way. It just runs using the battery, positive and negative, and it's a closed loop system. As soon as we introduce the power in from these guys, however, this is now coming in from a separate system. The whole thing needs that equivalent earth. So we're now using the car's earth. Now in our case, we're using a chassis rail just underneath there. There's tons of spots, guys. If you're looking for earth spots, just look for a clean surface, bowl hole, shave, standard drill. Get a little bit of sandpaper and pull a little bit of the paint off. So you've got a nice steel to steel, metal to metal type contact, and then bolt the thing down tight, liquor paint over the top so it's nice and corrosion proof, hunky dory. That's what this guy is here. So for the Victron systems, if we have a look at the front, we have one here as a potential system earth, and then the one that we've used is this guy over here, and that's the other main system earth. Because we've got two, that's why we have two. We're two of the distribution links distributors. So we're going to use this guy just largely because it's closer and I'm running skinny on the 95 square cable. So we've run it underneath there. I'll tidy all this up once we do the final connection, and then on that side, this runs all the way underneath here, up here. Paint's still drying on this side. We've cut out on our board itself, and then we have, there's our pass-through for our power coming in. That's carrying the full 100 amps or 100 amps capable. This is capable of about 130 amps continuous, so more than enough for us. Fused with 125 at the front there, into our distribution block, and then off that, like we saw earlier, into our two individually fused lead ins. These are 60 each that go into our DC-DC. So they're still separated, still the circuit's protected, the wiring on this end. This big guy protected at that end with the master 125, so we're all good there. And then let's flick some switches and hope for no blue smoke. Hopefully we are good to go. So I think what we might do, we'll fire up the main system. We've got some blinky blinkies happening, so that's good. We can turn our solar back on. There we go, we're flashing here again as well, which means the MPPTs are firing up. Now what we're going to be looking for is these guys. Oh, we're flashing there, so that's a good sign. Same hopefully over here in this one. We should be getting, there we go, that's flash as well. Okay, so they're fired up as far as our DC-DCs. The next step though is we need to rip around that side and turn our master switch for the input feed. So we're pretty well all tidied up here. I do have our spotlight feed here that still needs to get put in. That'll get fed into our MIDI fuses there. And we also have our fully SIG subwoofer that needs to get wired in on a MIDI fuse there as well, probably, even though it's got a blade, we'll see. But this is the main stuff here. But the main things we're interested in is our 175 for our alternator. So that's our feed back in. And then we've got our feed coming back out, 120, 125, that's feeding back out to our master shutoff switch. So if we flick this, our Victron servo unit should see alternator as one of the charge methods. So fingers crossed. Okay, no pops and bangs. Let's have a look down here. We're all connected. This is all in. There's our master fuse. We've got our positive in here, and here we go. We've got alternator. So that's new. We go into that, and here we go. So Orion left and right. I'd already had to play with these offline before we even put them in to make sure they worked before we got carried away. So I've already set up the naming, but we can see, there we go. We've got our positive and negative. We have our voltage is pretty much, hopefully I can get that focus for you, is pretty much the same there. So that's good. That means our bus bar is doing its job and splitting that current from the big feed coming in. I'll have to go ahead and fully set this up because I'd only literally just labeled them left and right offline before we put them in. So that's as far as we'll go there for that. So that about wraps it up for the install components. So we've talked through why in part one we went with all the Victron gear and what everything did. Part two, now we've got everything installed. So everything works, everything is plugged in and working. Plug our extension lead in there. That will work for the moment, but ultimately that will be on the back of the D-Max. You'll see that in a future vid. But everything is plugged in, everything is working. We've got blinky lights going on everywhere. That's the that one working there now. But everything is working tickety-boo, which is excellent because we're doing a full sort of overview and stress testing each component. So if you're keen to see how everything sort of works in tandem, system. We'll have a bunch of the app happening so you can see the live data flowing through with the car starting, driving down the road, you know, yada yada, solar panels plugged into the roof, but then also plugged into auxiliary, all the things. We'll do a bit of an overview video of the full system. We need our perspex sheet in place as well, so we've got all that protection, and then we'll do that full sort of wrap showing you how it all works. But I think that is probably enough for part 2. I'm sure this video is way too long, and future Adam doing all the editing of this is going, what the heck is going on here? This is way too long. So we'll wrap it up there. Hopefully you found that useful, particularly if you're looking to fully install a bit of a DIY Victron system yourself. You can kind of use the full wiring schematic that sits on the website, VideoShowMeHow.com, and sort of delete parts, know what parts you need. I'll link a bunch in the video description here as well of the bits and pieces that I've used, just to give you a bit of a head start if you're looking for similar gear, and then you can kind of have a bit of a guide on doing it yourself and having a crack of building something similar in your rig. So as always, guys, I hope that you have an amazing day, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers, guys.